Welcome, everyone. My name is Brian Husk, and I'm the Assistant Director in the in-person MS in Biotechnology Program and the online MS in Applied Biotechnology degree at UW-Madison. We have a variety of people attending today. Many of you are from Wisconsin, and others are from out of state, and some are probably out of the country. Today's attendees also have various professional backgrounds. Some of you are still completing your undergraduate degrees, while others are just getting started with their careers in the biotech industry. And a handful of you have many years of experience in leadership in industry. We even have some UW Biotech Master's students and alumni that are planning to attend, so including our panelists. So welcome to you too. Thank you all for joining us. I anticipate tonight will go fast, and I have specific questions, or I'm sorry, if you have specific questions for our panel, please type them in chat, and my colleague Michelle Smith and I will do our best to get to them. And if we're unable to get to your question during the webinar, I'm happy to follow up with you afterwards. Each of the 6 panelists joining us tonight has completed the in-person MS in Biotechnology program within the past 12 years. The MS in Biotechnology program launched in 2002 with an integrated interdisciplinary curriculum weaving topics in business, science, law, and regulatory policy as they pertain to new product development and commercialization of those products in the biotech industry. To date, we have over 400 alumni and students affiliated with the biotech program. Tonight's panelists are 6 graduates who represent the variety of career paths that one can pursue with this degree. Let's begin with brief introductions from our alumni panelists. So if you could, please tell us your name, the year you graduated, your job title, and your employer. Then take a few minutes to briefly tell us your career story and how you arrived where you are today. We'll go from our most recent graduates to our later graduates. So Garima, that brings us to you. Could you start for us?
Thank you, Brian. Hi, everyone. My name is Garima Singh, and I just graduated from this program in this May 2021. I'm currently working as an associate research scientist at PPD in Middleton, Wisconsin. So following my interest in biotechnology as a subject since high school days, I decided to pursue my bachelor's degree in biotechnology from India. My first job at Quest Diagnostics in India in the molecular biology laboratory exposed me to several kinds of diagnostic assays for infectious disease like H1N1 or non-infectious disease like cancer. I was particularly intrigued by cancer diagnostic assays, specifically cancer as a disease. That made me choose my second job at Biolytics in Singapore, a company which focuses on bringing clarity to cancer using liquid biopsy samples with the help of microfluidic platform. I worked at Biolytics for around 5 years, where I wore multiple hats, leading cell culture and various cell-based assay development projects. After working as a bench scientist for almost 5 years, I wanted to explore different aspects of biotechnology industry. So specifically the bench to bedside translational part. And I was looking for a program which actually exposes you to that and makes you learn more about that. And which actually made me choose MS Biotechnology program here at UW-Madison. And upon learning about different aspects of this industry through this program, I developed interest in the early drug development and the drug approval pathway side of it, which actually made me choose my current job at PPD as an associate research scientist. Happy to meet you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Garima. Carolee, sorry, we get this wrong. We keep trying. Carolee Fedor, class of 2020. You're muted. You're muted. Oh no.
We'll do it the manual way.
There we go.
All right. Hi, I am Carolee, and like Brian just said, I graduated in the class of 2020. So I recently just started a new role at Exact Sciences as an associate project manager for operations. To give you all a bit more of my background and my career progression, I had received my Bachelor of Science from the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse and worked as a primary behavior therapist at an autism therapy center for 2 years. After doing some introspection and where I wanted my career to go, I moved back to Madison, where I took a lab job as a research analyst in the metabolism department at Covance. So I knew I wanted to further my education in the biotech field and was introduced to this program actually by my manager at the time. She was in one of the first cohorts and was very excited about this program and um, absolutely was adamant that I uh, apply for this program. And I have absolutely no regrets because during my first semester, I was introduced to just a wide range of biotech companies in the Madison area. And it was during this that I was immediately drawn to exact sciences. So their mission of detecting cancer earlier and helping physicians to provide the best treatments to these individuals affected by cancer was a really easy choice for me. So I started as a production associate within the manufacturing team and transferred my, skills and knowledge from the program and was able to apply them to my daily activities. And then during the final semester, I had taken a project management and leadership class, and everything was pulled together for me through that class. And I mentioned my interest to my supervisor during a development discussion, and leadership on my team was able to take my interest and allow me to take more of an informal project management role in production. And once the associate project manager position opened in operations, they were um, really wonderful and encouraged me to apply. So, a few months later, here I am. I have my new role and am incredibly grateful to this program and everyone who helped me to get this, perfect role for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Carolee. And congratulations on the new gig.
Thank you.
Madison Porter.
Hi, everyone. I'm Madison Porter, graduated class of 2019 from the Biotechnology Program. Originally from Central Indiana, graduated from Indiana University with a biology degree in 2014. Couldn't really decide what I wanted to do for a career, but I was offered a position at Covance up here in Madison, Wisconsin. Started in 2015. Was not originally planning to be Madison in Madison, but that's where I've been ever since. I initially started in their dose analysis department as an analyst, so that was in preclinical research. After 2 years in 2017, Brian and Natalie actually came to Covance and did a little seminar on the biotechnology program, which I attended, and I immediately knew that that was something I wanted to look into and see if I could get a wider view of biotechnology as a whole. Because from my position as an analyst, I was just seeing a lot of what was upstream or downstream from me, and I wanted to learn more about how Covance fit into the larger space of biotechnology research and other avenues which I hadn't even considered as possibilities. After graduating in 2019, I decided that I wanted to look at a different side of Covance. So I actually moved from our preclinical group in dose analysis over to our clinical group for phase 1 as a project coordinator. So I've been there for about 1.5 years, coming on 2 years now as a project coordinator. I'm seeing all kinds of studies that come through our clinics, but in particular, I'm working with a lot of phase 1 hepatic and renal impairment studies. So yeah, happy to talk a bit about making that jump from like preclinical to clinical and getting a wider view on biotechnology as a whole.
Awesome. Thank you, Madison. That's great. Colleen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Colleen Stowe. I am currently a quality assurance manager at a small startup biotech company called Genturi. My pathway through getting to this program is quite a long journey. I started out in the clinical laboratory setting in a hospital environment, in a pathology department doing cytology. And my first entry into this connection is going to be Michelle Smith, your program manager. And I've been a mentee of Michelle's for many years, followed her career journey, went through and became an education coordinator for a clinical laboratory science program as well as then looked at this program in 2013 is when I started, after Michelle graduated from it. And to hear her experiences and learn more the insights of as an end user in a clinical lab setting for some of the assays and instruments that are created in the biotech arena. It just kind of seemed that natural pathway to get that further understanding of more of the business aspects. And as Garima talked about the kind of the production side, learning about the pharmaceutical environment. So quality assurance has been with me throughout my whole career journey. So I'm leveraging that knowledge in terms of using that in a medical device arena has been something that's, been a new challenge for me, but something I've learned a lot for. And I really value the network connections that I've made through the program, not only specifically within my classmates, but obviously from our program coordinators that we have, as well as from other years. It's been kind of a privilege and an honor to say that I've graduated from this program, especially when you meet other people in other societies. We have the Women in Biotech program association here in Madison, and so many people have graduated that attend that as well. And so for me to give back to this program is something that I value very much.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thanks, Colleen. Alana.
Thank you, Brian. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. I am Alana Davis, and I'm the head of sales and operational planning at the North Carolina facility of Fujifilm Diosynth Biotechnologies, where we are a contract drug manufacturer for biologics. I have a unique journey of getting to the point of where I am now. I pursued my undergraduate degree at Virginia Tech, at which point I was dead set on being a veterinarian. So everything that I did leading up to my undergraduate years was intended for me to be a veterinarian and pursuing that as my lifelong goal. As I entered my senior year of college, my desires changed, and that led me to participating in a post-baccalaureate program where I still was pursuing kind of the veterinary realm, but getting more into a lab scientific based foundational realm there as well. And so with that, it led me to accepting my first professional position, moving to Madison, Wisconsin to work at Covance. We've got a strong Covance connection on the call this evening. I did start my career at Covance within the preclinical space as well, working in the labs within our toxicology and drug metabolism groups before transitioning into more client-facing roles in study coordination and client management. During my time at Covance and being in the lab, I knew that I wanted to pursue an opportunity that would allow me to not only grow professionally, but individually and kind of bring me back to the connection of what I ultimately wanted to do when I wake up every morning is to impact others' lives. And so in doing that, I started to research graduate school programs, all of which did not allow for me to continue to be a working professional while pursuing my degree. And so within the MS in Biotech program, being able to have a platform that allowed me to continue to pursue my career and grow in that facet and pursue a higher level education was absolutely appealing, and a decision that I'm so thankful that I made and that I was accepted into the program. And I owe so much to the program. After graduating, I continued my career at Covance and was trying to work my way up through the ranks there, and then came across an opportunity with my current employer, at which point in time, Fujifilm, everyone knows Fujifilm for cameras. And so the director of our biotech program told me, like, you're crazy to move to North Carolina to this company, but it was something that I followed my gut, and the program prepared me well for pursuing the job opportunity that I was pursuing. And when I interviewed, what I will say is my boss told me at the time that I was not qualified for the job that I was pursuing, but I was able to rely on my degree, my master's, and I think that helped me to edge out the competition there. And I've not looked back since then. So I just like Colleen mentioned, just the gratitude and humbled to be a part of this program and to represent the program on this call today and talking with you all.
Thanks, Alana. There's a lot there that you shared with us that we can unpack later.
It's a lot, right?
It's exciting. And last but not least, Angie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angie Shador. I am a 2009 graduate of the program. I'm currently employed at Genus, which, for those of you that are local to the Madison area, is the parent company of ABS Global, and our industry is animal genetics. So I am a senior project manager in the R&D area of Genus, and I've been there about a year and a half. So my career journey starts, my bachelor's degree is in biotechnology, and after college I started as an associate scientist at what was then Third Wave Technologies, and I was there about 2 years. And upon kind of the encouragement of a manager and a mentor, I applied for the program. At that point, I continued to work as a scientist in research and development. Our company dealt with molecular diagnostics for infectious diseases and genetic mutations. And I was able to shift into an informal project management role there after the program, after graduating the program. In 2008, Third Wave was bought by Hologic, and in 2012, they decided to move their molecular diagnostics hub to San Diego. So I stayed on at the Madison facility through 2014 and helped them transition to the new location. At that point, I was kind of at a decision point in my life if I wanted to pursue another bench scientist type position or pivot, and I did pivot somewhat to project management at that point. I started at Forte Research Systems as a project manager, implementing clinical research software to large academic medical centers and cancer centers. I was with Forte for 5 years before I found out about the position at Genus. And for me, it was really a perfect trifecta. I have a background in agriculture, so to find out that there were project management positions in research and development with an agriculture focus was really a perfect fit for me. And that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Angie. Well, it's so fun to hear everyone's story because you have so many different backgrounds and directions that you've gone, but clearly the experience you had in the biotech program prepared you to take challenges, take risks, feel confident in making decisions that are maybe uncertain for yourself professionally and also personally, right? And that's really exciting. I would love to hear some advice. Like, what would you give people early in their biotech career, just getting started? Oftentimes we see entry-level scientists positions being, as an onboarding method into biotechnology in the industry there. Madison and Carolee, as our more recent graduates, and Garima too, although Garima has quite a little bit more experience than many people might know from her 2021 graduation date. Could you tell us what would be your advice to someone who's just getting started in the industry? How about, Madison, go ahead. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. I'll start with this one. I would just say, don't be afraid to reach out to people in the industry or at a company with the job that you want. I know that was a huge barrier for me starting out. It's probably something I might be a little uncomfortable about now, if I'm going to be honest with you all. But even since graduating this program, I've had people reach out on LinkedIn and say, hey, I noticed you had experience at Covance in preclinical and dose analysis or formulations. Can you, give me a bit of information about like what you did at the job, what you took from the job? And I think starting out, if I had done that, that would have been like a real boon. And even going forward, especially through making a lot of connections through this program, it's become way easier to see, hey, this person is an alumni from class of 2011 and they're at this company that I'm considering. Maybe I should just shoot them a message. So I would say if you're just starting out, especially if you don't know what you want to do, or you're just in the stage of, throwing out a bunch of applications, talk to people. Use LinkedIn, use the tools that you have available.
So, Carolee, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, absolutely. I second everything that Madison said. Using your network and connections and not being afraid to reach out to people that have experience in fields that you're interested in is absolutely the way to help propel your career in biotech when you're just starting out. Um, Another piece of advice is to not be afraid to just take opportunities that you might be, nervous or scared about. So it's really just taking that kind of leap of faith, and honestly, it pays off. So if you're thinking about this program, just applying and networking with people that have been through this program and sharing, having them share their experience with you really goes a long way. And yeah, just don't be afraid to dive right in. You miss 100% of the chances you don't take. So that would be my piece of advice.
That's a great phrase to use to describe that. Are there anyone else in our panel that would like to add to that or have any further advice, maybe?
Brian, I just have one note to add. When you do go into a position, your primary focus is going to be to learn your job and to do your job well. But I would encourage you, and I'm going to use the word exposure. Expose yourself to other departments within your organization, because that's only going to build upon your foundation, and you being able to pull out, go into a toolbox and pull out different skill sets. That differentiates you from everyone else. And so I would encourage you to engage with your colleagues that may not be within your same department, and really push yourself to make those connections. So that's just what I'd add there.
That's great. Anyone else? It's really good advice, right? It's really good advice. Sort of just to summarize the themes here, like take chances, put yourself a little bit further out in the limb, and network, talk to people, and try to expose yourself to the broadest possible network within your company and within industry as well, right? That's fantastic. I want to ask now the panelists, given the breadth of the curriculum in the program and the number of different courses, we have like almost a mini MBA in one side. We have a hands-on lab experience that's industry-based. We have bioethics. We have regulatory policy and manufacturing and understandings of FDA and regulatory pathways in a legal sense. What courses would you say you remember the most, or that you use the most today in your career? I should ask someone specifically to answer that. How about you, Colleen?
Okay, sorry, I unmuted. I think almost all of them, I can seek a patent within several minutes. I'm very talented at that. The regulatory pathway I use, project management I use, and surprisingly, I think I had a high affinity to the business courses, which I didn't think I was going to, but I found that content very palatable, and I could relate to it, I think, based on my prior experience as well. So, and of course, I've got to highlight Natalie's courses in molecular technology. I think as I worked in the clinical lab at Exact Sciences, all of that just, fit in very well too. And those were probably my favorite courses of all.
That's great. Someone else? Anyone else?
I'll
How
go.
about, yeah, sure, Angie.
So I'll say for me, the most memorable class was definitely the ethics course. At that time, Altacharo was teaching it, and I love sitting in on those discussions. As far as the ones I use the most, for me, the program was about expanding my knowledge beyond the lab. So at the time I was working as a bench scientist. And so getting exposure to the business and project management courses and even the regulatory was something that would have taken me years to gain the exposure to at my position at the time. And I was able to get that through the program. And now I've heard, feedback and comments that people are surprised at my knowledge of those areas, given my background, right? Because they don't see it in my titles and things like that. So definitely, that was my favorite part.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I can go next.
Sure.
So for me, I would say first, Natalie's subjects like the lab part, specifically the last semester when we were exposed to the cell-based assays like the cytotoxicity, all those assays which are very much used these days in biopharmaceutical industry. So they're like really useful for me, and I think for anyone who is interested in that path moving forward. In addition to that, I would say. Biotechnology regulation and ethics (BRE) and early drug development, early drug discovery subject. So these three, I would say, are very important, especially if one is interested in going in the biopharmaceutical side.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Anyone else? Anyone else? Carolee, go ahead.
Yeah, so when I started as a production associate at Exact, I was taking the biotech operations course, and I found that a lot of the material that we were learning in biotech ops was incredibly helpful for me to transition into my production role in operations. I would say now I absolutely use my project management and leadership course. I think that, even a year and a half ago when I took this course, it laid down a fantastic foundation for me to successfully transfer from production to this project management role for all of operations. So, kind of a marriage of both of those classes I use almost every single day in my job.
Mhm. Fantastic. Madison, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to go back to what Angie said and say that this program does a really good job of giving you that holistic view of biotechnology. I think maybe if you're just sitting here listening, you might think it like would maybe favor people that are super heavy in bench science, but you have that whole aspect of the business courses that, I mean, throws a lot of people the first time that, you know, they have a project. And I think Brian and Natalie and everyone does a good job of selecting students that are not only heavy at bench science, but also good at, we had a patent lawyer in my class. We had people that were more in production operation. And, you end up learning a lot from those classmates as they learn a lot from you if you come from more of a traditional science background. So I just wanted to highlight the fact that, if you're sitting here and you're thinking, oh, I'm not like traditionally bench science, or I don't know a lot about that. This program is a great opportunity to learn how, maybe something more operations or ethics focused fits into biotechnology.
It's a great answer. It's great. A great area to discuss. I think one of the things that I've always seen out of the graduates in this program, or the students that are entering it, there are usually people who are like 1/3 confident in about one area of the curriculum, and then 2/3 they don't really know yet. And in the morning, the bench scientist feels really good in the lab, but then come afternoon when they're their business class, they're like desperately clinging to the accountant who manages projects and budgets for scientists, and vice versa. And so you see that 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 skill set. People are always looking to fill in the big picture, and it's a great point that you make, Madison, about the curriculum being not just about bench scientists moving into different roles. But that said, I would say that most of our students, a majority of our students, are bench scientists, and oftentimes a common theme I hear are understanding. I understand what to do in my job, but I don't understand necessarily why I do what I do at my job, and I'd like to understand that better. Oftentimes that involves trying to see a bigger picture and maybe possibly pivot or advance into the next level of decision making in a company. What are some of the bits of advice that you have for someone who is considering this program to broaden their knowledge and their opportunities, but also just from an alumni professional background advice giving role? What would you tell that entry level scientist or that newer person in a career to do to get pivot, to advance. Alana, I'm going to ask you, since you've done a lot of advancing in your career in a short time.
With this, I think primarily it's don't be afraid to take risks, and don't be afraid to ask questions. What Madison said, just with being in this program in itself, you're exposed to so many different people with different backgrounds that you can rely on. So being able to ask questions, I always think it's interesting, even at my job now, where someone will come up in an elevator and it's someone that I was in class with, and now they're a client of mine. It's just wonderful to kind of come full circle and to be able to pull on the things that you learn within this program. But I would say, starting out in the industry, not being afraid to take risks, asking the questions, and don't count yourself out. Looking at the experiences that you have, there's always ways to turn it to practical experiences. And so when you do see job descriptions that you may not feel that you check every box, there's no one that does check every box. So really play to your strengths, highlight your strengths, and speak to those, and be confident when you speak to those. And that'll, allow those that you're speaking to have confidence in you as well, and sell yourself and be your biggest advocate. And so that's what I would tell you as you go into these situations, is to definitely not count yourself out, be confident in your background. And if you do have an MS in biotech background, that, it's great to be able to pull that out and speak to that as well.
Yeah. How much would you say confidence and outgoingness and networking will carry you versus having that and, say, this degree?
Yeah, it's, it comes up in conversation often, and I think from being in the program, it makes you be outside of your comfort zone in your box. So if you're someone that was never in a situation or a position to be able to network before, you're going to get that exposure and you're going to get that experience, and it's going to help you to build your comfort level there. Whether it's from your peers, whether it's with your teachers, whether it's with the guest speakers that come in to the class. And so I think it helps you to build in that area of experience, and the confidence just comes with it, because you're kind of forced to be put into that situation to carry that out when you're in the program.
Awesome. Do others, would others like to contribute to answering that question, please? Anyone?
I would add to what Alana said.
Sure.
So I think, if you were to go, pre-COVID to a in-person networking event, right, it's very scary, and maybe you make one or two connections. I think one of the benefits of the program is the non-threatening nature of the networking that you get out of it, because you're with these 24 other people for 2 years. And so you naturally are able to network with them. Plus you have the speakers on top of that understand the program. And then those people that you went to, were in your cohort, they're going to go and they're going to change jobs. And so your network just grows exponentially without you doing much additional work beyond that. And then you add on top of that the other alumni. And so it creates a pretty big network on top of itself, and it grows every year.
I think sometimes when I talk to prospective students, when they're younger and earlier in their career, they're looking for a mentor, and they don't necessarily understand a professional network. I think we all have heard, it's who you know, not what you know, that kind of phrase. And I don't necessarily think that's the accurate definition of a professional network. Angie, could you continue what you're saying about the professional network and describe how it plays out as a tool in helping you?
Yeah. So for me, couple of things. One, the program exposed me to what's out there for jobs and what's out there for companies. So that was one big thing. When I was in the program, my company got acquired, which was new and scary to me. And then they decided to shut down the place that I was working. And so I immediately went to visit Kurt Zimmerman and said, "Hey, what's going on out there?" And so he was able to, share with me what he had heard in the industry locally, but also other alumni that were doing things, and, "Oh, you might want to go talk to this person or that person," and kind of point me in that right direction. I think now a lot of that, LinkedIn facilitates that, and you have this instant common bond of the program to say like, hey, you don't know me, but we are both in this program together. And then right away, there's that shared understanding of the program and the content in it that starts the conversation for you.
Mhm. That's great. Does anyone else have a personal tale of their own professional network in play? No one else. No, they just did it on their own.
Well,
This is really
I can do a quick comment on that.
sure.
Initially, when I started, my neighbor worked at Covance, granted at the Indianapolis location, and she actually was a big influence on, I think, getting me this job here in Madison initially. Probably a combination of needing some resume tweaking, but also not knowing what was available out there as a recent graduate. So she taught me a lot about the company initially, and that's what encouraged me to apply.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Madison. Um, I think what happens eventually in anyone's career, if they've worked long enough, except someone like myself who's worked at the state for the last 20 years, is you are going to oftentimes find the need to make a decision about whether to stay or go, and make a big switch from a company like Alana. You said you made that decision and then faced the headwind of, are you crazy? I'm not sure if that's a good idea. And that's a big decision for everyone. And many of you, Angie, you have some tales about switching um, companies. When do you go about making that decision? Colleen, could I ask you? I know you've done that a little bit yourself. And how do you go
Yes.
about making it?
I think for me, I'm someone who likes change and I like challenge and I want to continually learn. And making that decisions can be very scary. I have heavily relied on my network in terms of helping me make that decision. My classmates in particular are constant sources of a resource for me, as well as our program officials are too. And I can say, I've made some good decisions and I've made some not so great decisions, and the challenge to pivot from some of those decisions that haven't turned out well, have given me good lessons to learn from that. But hopefully, relying on others to kind of walk you through that, and then hopefully they're there, when you need those decisions to be made as well.
Mm-hmm. Alana? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to add, I feel like I can speak a lot to to this one, so I'll try to be concise with what I say here. I think a big part of it too is doing your research, and knowing yourself enough to know where it is you want to go in your career. So we talk about, people have vision boards, or in 5 years, where do you see yourself? There's importance in having that and challenging yourself, or having a mentor that challenges you to answer that question for yourself. And so if you are in a company where, you've been there for a certain number of years and you feel a loyalty to the company, but you're no longer getting advancement opportunities, or it's not going to help you get to that next level of where it is that you see yourself going, I'd say to be vocal about that within your current organization. And if they are willing to create opportunities to keep you, that's great. But if you voice that, voice what you're wanting to do and they're not able to meet that, then being comfortable with knowing like you're not going to burn a bridge, you can leave a relationship in a good place, and there's no saying that you may not come back to that company, but pursuing opportunities that will help you with that growth, and that vision that you have for yourself. I'd also say, within that research, connecting with organizations that match your core values, as well, because it's a lot more than just the day-to-day of your role, but what impact do they have on the community? What do they value as you as a person when you come to work? So that means a lot to certain individuals. And I know in my organization that I'm in now, I'm viewed as more than just an employee. I'm viewed as an individual and a person that they are invested in. And so that's something that motivates me each day, in the organization that I'm in as well. So I'd say, do your research, and don't be afraid to speak up if you feel that there's not opportunity in your current organization, because those leaders and that are advocates for you, they create opportunities for you. So don't be afraid to speak up.
Awesome. Awesome. You know, that reminds me that another core theme of this program, and I'm sure you'll all agree with me, is communication and the ability to communicate effectively to different audiences, scientists, non-scientists, to the public. But Alana, just what you said right there is just being able to understand how to communicate to other people, supervisors and coworkers and teams that you're working with, and important in be able to do the important dance of advocating for yourself without stepping on people's toes and doing that well. Um, that's interesting. Garima, can you tell us a little bit about what you learned as a student? You just graduated. How has communication in the program helped you?
I would say this program actually gives you like a lot many opportunities to communicate with different kind of people. So we have like throughout the program we have these team projects on which we work together, and the teams also keep on changing from semester to semester with different projects. So you really get like opportunity to talk to people from different background, from different kind of industry. So it really helps you communicate scientific, non-scientific, technical, non-technical, all sort of things in a clear and coherent manner with your cohorts, as well as translating your ideas to your mentors or your professors whom you are working with. So yeah, I really I felt that that was personally very helpful for me, especially with the business and like non-science side kind of communication. So yeah, it really helped me a lot, and I think it helps everyone.
Fantastic. I this is nice that I'm talking to you now, because I also then want to ask another question about transitioning from life in a startup and comparing and contrasting that to working in a larger organization. And you have a rather unique story before you from Singapore before you came here. Could you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you to go from the direction of sort of seeing a small company go to a large company?
Yeah, sure. So I would say that was my journey at Biolytics. The company in Singapore has been very, very interesting. So when I joined Biolytics, it was called ClearBridge Biomedics initially, and it was like a very small spin-off from National University of Singapore. And it was like kind of very small, like 30 people company, and we were like kind of setting up the lab, developing assays at a very basic, setting up the cell culture labs and everything. So from there, we actually so when you start in such a small company, you're kind of doing everything. Like you are to go to person for like kind of everything. So you learn a lot in addition to your like your exact role. So that really made me learn a lot of things. And then as the company progressed, number of people increase, number of projects increases, and then so you really learn about how that uh, small company to public transition happens. And like in terms of everything, I would say, so we were working in collaboration with not only within Singapore, with US, with various European consortiums. So it was really learning experience, and that actually kind of motivated me to also explore beyond what I was doing, like just being like leading assays for the assay development. That also kind of pushed me to, hey, like you really need to, like, you should learn more about it. It's very interesting, the other side of the biotechnology industry. And I think it kind of pushed me also to like choose this program. Yeah.
That's interesting. And so now I'm going to ask Colleen, because Colleen knew this was coming. I'm going to ask you sort of what your experience is like, having gone from sort of larger organizations to currently working in a startup now. How does that contrast going the other way?
I think kind of shocking at times for me. It's been an eye opener to have all of that support behind me for many years. Where there's a quality team, there's a business team, there's the science side to it. To as Garima talked about, being a jack of all trades, having to kind of own a lot of all those processes. And the challenge in a small company of maybe not everybody having that subject matter expertise in their areas, and trying to rely on doing their own research and trying to find maybe consultants that can help you pivot into the right pathway. So I find it very different, and I think immersing myself in the content, especially in the medical device ISO environment, I've thoroughly enjoyed that. and I can relate it to a lot of my past experiences, but having that ability to do everything at once can be very challenging.
Yeah, but you said you like challenges. You did say that.
Yes, I did. And so, so I've got
That's great. Well, thanks for sharing those two things. I'm going to ask a more general question, but then I'm going to start with Angie, I think. If you could tell your previous self, if yourself today could tell the previous self when you started this program, what advice would you give yourself?
So for me, it goes back to that networking and the fear that sometimes comes along with it. And I was just talking with a colleague about this today, and just don't be afraid to reach out to people. I mean, first of all, a lot of people, myself included, you get just excited and flattered when somebody reaches out to you for a networking request. And the worst that's going to happen is they're going to say no, and you're back where you started anyway. So you're not out anything. So I would say, yeah, take advantage of that, network with all the people in your program, all the speakers that come in, and start to build that so that you are more resilient as you go through your career and deal with the ups and downs of different roles, or deciding that you want to pivot. You have people you can reach out to pivot. So that'd be kind of my main advice.
Awesome. Thank you. Carolee and Madison, I want to ask you this question since we haven't heard from you in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So I would tell myself to really invest 100% in this program. I mean, this program provides so many different opportunities, and it gives you exposure to all of the different facets of biotechnology, all the different companies, and such a wide network of people. So really take the time to do things right. You're investing in your career, so take advantage of the network, take advantage of your professors and their extensive knowledge, and all of the guest speakers that come in and talk to the class. They really are such valuable resources, and they have your best interest in mind and your career success. So really just go all in the program.
Awesome. Madison, what about you?
Yeah, not too much more to add to all that. Definitely, I would say for me personally, connect with the lecturers more when there's a topic that interests you. You don't know what that could lead to. You could stay in contact with them. The program does a great job of having a lot of Madison biotech startup and large company advocacy there for topic discussion. So you get a lot of like small company discussing something versus, there were representatives from Covance PPD, for example. So I would say definitely use the network that you're given through the program. And second, I would say don't be afraid to pivot. Be your own best advocate mid-program if something comes up. Yeah, I think it's already a bit of a leap of faith to join the program when you're working full-time, but definitely also don't be afraid to take an opportunity that really interests you. If you're in the program and you're thinking, oh, I don't know if I necessarily want to learn a new position. I'm comfortable in what I'm doing now. I think you always have to have that eye open for like what Alana said, what you want to be doing in your career.
That's great. It's true. We've seen it over the last 20 years. Students who started in the program just even before they graduate, they've already made a big leap in their career, whether it's internally or moving to a new position in another company. I do want to ask now. How, all of you were working full time at some point. Garima, you were working full time the second year. How did your employer support you while you were going through the program? How about Alana?
Sorry.
Oh, that's good. I need someone to raise a hand. That's good.
Yeah, and Covance, I love Covance. Just such a big support, and I think it. When you go and you say what the plan is. For me, I was supported to work an alternate schedule, so I worked a 4-10 schedule, 4 10-hour days, and late nights. And prior to the start of my second semester, I welcomed my oldest daughter, and so that added another layer of complexity of working through a program and prioritizing getting schoolwork and studying done, on top of maintaining and performing in my day, at the job. Um, if ever I needed to take time, they were there to support me. And I think too, there was a benefit from there's lots of people at Covance that have participated in the program, so that's been nice. But I think, just going with a plan and asking for that alternate schedule, and just knowing that you've got to put in time, because you want to put your best foot forward at work, and within the program to take full advantage of it. But my the program, my employer was very supportive.
That's great. And yes, I would say after having done this, supported this program for a long time, Covance does a really nice job seeing the value of this program and supporting its employees to grow professionally within the company. Anybody else want to have an employer story? Madison? Yeah.
So mine is Covance specific. Well, not Covance specific, although, my experience was with Covance. I would say get your supervisor involved early when you're interested. Personally, I had my supervisor be a reference. Nobody's going to know your work better than your current supervisor. So if they're kind of in your corner, I think that's really good, because then you can get that conversation started early about an alternate schedule. And also an important thing to think about is tuition reimbursement. A lot of companies offer it. As Brian just said, a lot of companies know the value of the program. So keep that in mind, do your research on there and stay on top of it to make sure you can take full advantage of what's offered to you.
Yeah. It's a very competitive labor market right now in Madison. So companies have to work hard to keep their talent. They do want to do that. So supporting you and keeping you engaged is and supporting us with tuition is one way to do that. How about questions from the audience? Does anyone have a question who's attending? Maybe if you could type that in chat, we'd be happy to answer that, or you could just go ahead and unmute. We've got about 5 or 6 more minutes before the top of the hour. Anyone?
Brian, if you don't have any more questions, I have a couple of short comments on things that were mentioned earlier too.
Sure, absolutely. We can.
One was my favorite part of the guest speakers was that first 5 minutes where they told you how they got to where they were today, because it showed you how many different pathways there are and gave, I think it gives you the confidence to pivot if you need to or want to in the future.
Keep networking with the people that you meet, because we bring in so many diverse people and great people in their area, right? We do have a question here. When applying to the program, did you have a specific area you were interested in, or just the general area of biotechnology? And were you hoping the program would make you realize what area you wanted to go into? Maybe there are some jobs that you didn't know existed until you were in the program. Can anybody speak to that? How your career interest changed? Maybe you joined the program not expecting to pivot, but you did. Many of you have done that. What about Carolee? What do you think? You've done a lot recently.
Yeah. So when I started the program, I went in just pretty generalized. I didn't necessarily know which direction I wanted to take my career. And, as starting in at Exact Sciences in production, I was able to use my biotech ops class, and was very interested in potentially transitioning to the regulatory team. My manager at the time was able to do or have me do a lot of cross-functional work with regulatory and a lot of label creation and trying to make sure that everything is basically up to snuff with new products and what needs to be on a label, on like a reagent tube or a kit that we're selling to our labs. And during that time, I realized that I didn't actually want to transition to regulatory. So that gave me exposure to something I didn't want to do.
Mhm.
But then during my last semester in the program, taking the project management and leadership course, I absolutely loved that course, and it allowed me to think very holistically about our department and operations. So when I had an interest in that career pathway, my leaders were able to give me experience and actually set me up with a mentorship with another project manager, and now she is my manager. So really, the course helped me figure out what I was interested in. And yeah, a month ago I transitioned. So
That's
very
awesome.
new, but very exciting.
Well, it makes me realize that being a cross-functional employee and having those cross-functional skills doesn't just mean being able to work across the organization, but it also allows you then to be dynamic enough to move within the organization to areas that you want to go. So it's not just standing still and working across with everybody. It's being able to fluidly transition to over here, and maybe I can shift over there if I have more expertise, and that really probably helps you with that pivot when you're looking.
Absolutely. And I still get to support my production department as well with projects that they have. So I still get to work with everybody that I was working with in my previous role. So it's the best of both worlds.
That's great. That's really great. I have to ask, this is always a fun one when we do professional development classes and seminars on how to manage your career. Sometimes people are looking to really make a bold advancement, and they're really trying to make more money. You've spent a lot of time and effort and your own investment financially and in your time to get this degree and create these opportunities. What are the secrets for you that from your MS and biotech experience that have helped elevate your salary and improve your professional standing? Um, who wants to take that one? Anyone can take that one. I could ask the head of sales. I know that's not a bad title.
I'm okay to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. So it's definitely knowing your worth and being okay with negotiating. So I will, from personal experience, when I was at Covance, I started at a very entry level role, and I was happy with anything that I got at that time, right? And it was, work super hard. And then when you start hearing what other people are making, it's like, wait a minute, I'm doing more, but we're not on the same plane. And so I think, moving into leadership position, especially, and I think Madison mentioned this, like being your own advocate, and knowing that there is power in negotiation. It's doing your homework, knowing what the industry, where the industry stands within the biotech. Like, this is a great network of people to be in where you can reach out. And I'm most certain that people would be happy to share, where their levels are and their feedback from their organizations. But my recommendation would be not to be afraid to negotiate. Don't do something extreme. Don't when you do your research, what the level of extreme is. But speaking to, again, what your strengths are, what your experiences are that warrant you to pursue that higher level salary or the desired salary that you're looking for.
That's great. Does anyone else want to contribute to that answer?
I can, Brian. I think what I've seen in my past experiences is the future employer comparing that role to your current one, and I think trying to find the skill sets that are different. So if you're looking to make more money, if you're coming from like a supervisor to a manager position, the level of responsibility increases with that. So the challenge is on those job applications where they ask for what your salary range is, but yet they don't provide that information for you. I think, as Alana spoke to, seeking out in your network to try to find somebody in that career path to at least give you some type of benchmark to go to, but also, hold that value that, that next role may have more responsibility. So it should not be correlatable to what your current salary is. I know that that part can be very hard to negotiate, but yeah, know that you're worth more if the responsibilities are definitely more.
Mhm. It's fantastic stuff. Well, we are at the 6:01 hour. I don't want to take people's time beyond what you've already committed to. I am so thankful for our 6 alumni who have joined us here tonight to share your professional backgrounds and your experiences as students in the biotech program. It has been such a great pleasure to see everyone again, especially, across distances and during a pandemic. It's great to connect with good friends. And I really would love to thank all the people who joined us today at this webinar. I hope that you found this valuable and that we were able to share some information that you found useful. So thank you for your time as well. If you have any questions for our panelists or for myself or Michelle or Natalie Betts with the MS in Biotech program, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm sure you can find us through LinkedIn, and we'd be happy to talk with you, all right? So thank you once again